Hello, and welcome to Nightlight. My name is Tom Snarsky, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our 24th Nightlight poetry reading event. I can't believe that it's been almost 2 years that we've been doing Nightlight. 24 doesn't quite correspond to 2 years months-wise because we skipped a few, we adjusted a few in here, but it's been almost 2 years that we've had this series running, and I am so thrilled to welcome this marvelous group of poets to share their work this evening. We have with us tonight C.D. Eskilson, David Harrison Horton, L. Scully, and Jack Bachmann. In case you haven't listened in before, Nightlight is a reading series featuring poets and writers in a monthly Zoom, usually on the third or fourth Thursday of the month at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're on social media at Nightlight Poems on Twitter and night_light_poems_ on Instagram, where we're happy to hype up our readings and also post recordings of the events when they go up on our YouTube channel. That's a lot to say via intro, but I'm really excited to just get right into it. So without any further ado, let's get into the main event of the evening, and that is introducing our very first reader of tonight, who is C.D. Eskilson. And C.D. Eskilson is a trans non-binary poet and translator. Their work appears in the Kenyon Review, the Offing, Cincinnati Review, among others, and they are the poetry co-editor at Split Lit magazine. CD's debut poetry collection, Scream/Queen, is now available from Acre Books. Once they were in a punk band, and hopefully we'll get some of that punk spirit this evening. CD, take it away. Thank you so much for being on Nightlight with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm so glad y'all are here. I really love Zoom readings. I just think they're really special and fun and sort of an interesting thing to have happened in the last couple of years, but something I dearly love. Yeah, so I'm going to read some poems from Scream Queen, which came out 5 months ago. It's been kind of strange to have a book in the world. But just some context, the poems engage with sort of confront ideas of transness and queerness through the lens of horror films, through sort of the ways in which like the body becomes a monster in the eyes of other people, and how that can be terrifying but empowering at the same time. So the first poem I'm going to read is called On Witchcraft. Statues of Hecate show a triple-headed goddess, a being far too myriad for just one mouth. There's a longing for what's lost in shrines, engraved into a frieze, what's held inside a myth. My sibling knew defiance early on. Their buzz cuts, constant binder, new name at the bank and license photo. Beth walks through forests, filling clearings with their beard. Shows how to curse a compromise, pull the moon down with both hands. Just how enclosures took the peasantry from commons, witch hunts took the women from their bodies. I glean from Federici. I want to be the open field and commune, the strength that would provide, to coven in a word like them and reclaim multitude as gender. In cinema, the witch ends as stubbled sisters levitate through pines, their chorus claiming night. I order my capri pants, scroll through rows of summer dresses, text photos to a friend, and hope to find my Sabbath field. Reach out from disenchantment, still unsure of what to grasp. I scour terms for remedy that can also mean poison, land on pharmacon. The possibility F shows me, though, how little feels like mine, my chest beneath the pressing stones. A pride event where people call me Little F, so quickly lose my name. The rock soon disappears me. Each horror movie archives a resistance. The autopsy of Jane Doe shows how a body won't be dominated, skull split, drained, and still won't open. Her hex's pry, mortician skin. I study and take notes. Is this dysphoria, revolt, or just reaction? My ankles chafe on ducking stool. I stalk beaches, pockets lined with gold and lead. Draw shapes in the sand to summon what's enough. Fix my lipstick, bury men, stretch my spine to the sky. I conjure, I can't contain. Y'all gonna read cute. Do you have any fans of Powerpuff Girls, the cartoon? Yeah, so yeah, there's a character from Powerpuff Girls, one of the villains is named Him, who's sort of this like cartoonish, devilish looking figure who made quite an impression on me as a child. And this is a poem called Update on Him from Powerpuff Girls. Of course, I fangirled seeing him work at a coffee shop on Wilshire. Can't say I wasn't gawking at this misfit Mephistopheles, this idol of my odd duck childhood. Their pink tulle scrunched me, the khaki apron, the thigh highs swapped for tennis shoes. I tried to play it cool in line, but him kept chipping mugs and flipping orders, popped an oat milk carton with their claw. People snickered, mimicked their falsetto, walking to the sugar station. Him reminded me, of something queer and clumsy that attracted too much notice, a target on two fronts. Reminded me of guessing what the joke's about and making that into a game. Him's beard poked through the hairnet that they wore. They shattered someone's lemonade and the shards rained on the ground. I wanted to help, to fetch oven mitts, but thought this might be patronizing. Wanted to repay their showing me to layer crimson, strut maniacally, craft ginger out of points and curves. I feared distracting them. Him spilled espresso in the bar that got on someone's pants. They kept apologizing, same as when I asked my boss to use my new name, and he wouldn't. The sorry added to my hands. I tried to make it easy for them by getting bottled juice. Try not to stare, made small talk about muffins, which worked until I almost walked off without paying. Him laughed at least. And each time I went back, I hoped to see them there, but never did. I hoped him wasn't fired. I swear I saw them once while backing out my car, a black North Face above an apron, salmon ruffle peeking out. That's enough for me to know, I think. It's enough to know they're there. Awesome. And gonna read, yeah, this one. Yeah, so a lot of poems in the book sort of deal with siblinghood and the idea of, I think siblings are really interesting. I only have one sibling, but sort of this person that can sort of validate your childhood in some weird ways, but then also can not validate it. And just sort of that sort of tension of like the ways that you both remember things or the ways that you remember things very, very differently and sort of can explain each other, why each of each other is the way that you are. So this is called Recipe for Roasted Broccoli. When I say my sibling, when my sibling says they don't feel subject to our father's mental illness, I focus on cleaving through the broccoli stalks, separating florets from the trunk, dousing them in salt and olive oil. I want to question the stem severed from its leaves, but this thread tangles when I start tossing with my hands. My sibling postulates how ordinary growing up was, how little we'd known about what's heritable until later, until trying to form relationships and being too much every time. How our narratives eschew slipping grips and siren wails, my sibling says. I watch my broccoli in the oven as I nod, try to toss the stripped green artery into the kitchen trash. I miss and hit the wall. I want a gesture that can prove them right. I want to glue the front door lock our father drove back to review every morning before work. To sands the floorboard his obsession tried to level. Last month, I tried cleansing sorry from my language, but didn't last the afternoon. I tried until it rained and knew whose fault it was. I know our father would have folded long before me, would have blamed himself for gravity, would have safety pinned the drops back on the clouds. To another monster poem. So this is a little later in the book, but this is called Portrait as Werewolf. Tucked behind the backwood in a borrowed car, we grip the doors, pass silver coins between our mouths. I wear a new white dress and flower crown, rhinestones beaded to my snout. Flash a fang for you and hope to graduate from myth. Watch me strip the want from bones. Lovely beast, my trying wolves to beauty. What's a monster but a body deemed impossible, the glossy fur and pale thighs quivering at your touch? As a child, I felt this bite sink in and tried stopping it. For years, tongued bullets, cracked enamel, kept on gurgling a dead name, kept this body graceless. But one can only stifle howling for so long, deny entry to their lair. Here, woods blaze with murk light, spark a gleam against your claw to offer prey. I lick my lips. I kiss the moon. It took so long to get here. So the spirit of new shit, I'm gonna read a poem that's gonna come out, I think in a couple weeks, couple months. But is new, yeah. So do that. Um, and to sort of, I guess some context is just sort of a lot of this book is a lot of the book is for and written for trans kids and the world that they're in now. So that's just sort of context for where this poem is coming from. It's called Testimonial, but you need to see how it's spelled. So I'm going to put it in the chat. But it'll also become obvious when you see it. Cool. So this is Testimonial. The children are taught they are demons, a scourge that's inheriting the wreckage of paradise. The holy men claim that, through torture, some salvation awaits them by no longer being the children that they are, through the pulling of fangs, clipping of wings, though the turn of their bones into marble. The holy men spend years concocting new punishments, exorcisms where the children admit to demonic blood, to their role in some devilish scheme, because the children's lives could never be something they wanted or wished for. Rather, the devil's infection, through the TV and library books. The holy men swear that the devil hides out in the city hall bathroom. The holy men rage that the parents are criminals, that the children must be taken away. And still, there's the problem of demons who grew up, survived, who all wear their horns so long, whip their ruby tails at any preacher who edges too close. The grown demons let young ones know that their thriving is possible. Let the children be guided by the legions before them. Let the children dance raucously all over the strip mall of paradise. The children will grow so immense that the holy men tremble. The children will claim the whole kingdom. The children will grow up, I promise. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Wow, thank you so much, CD, not just for those poems, but also for bringing Powerpuff Girls into our reading. Our new kitten that we've had for a week and a half is named Bubbles, so that was a real nice moment. Maybe Bubbles will make an appearance later, but that who you just heard was CD Eskilson, and CD is on Instagram at CD Eskilson, CDEskilson, and on Blue Sky at cdeskilson.bsky.social. Shout out again to Scream Queen, which is available now from Acre Books, which is a beautiful publisher doing incredible work. So check out Scream Queen, check out Acre Books, and follow all the beautiful work that CD is doing. What a lovely way to start things off, and I'm so excited to keep the good times rolling with our next reader, who I'm glad could join us. It is about, Nightlight is a nighttime reading series for most of us, but it is not a nighttime reading series for our next reader because he's joining us from Beijing, and that is David Harrison Horton. David Harrison Horton is a Beijing-based writer, artist, editor, and curator. He is author of Necessary from Downingfield in 2025 and Maze Poems from Artidolia in 2022. His latest chapbook, Model Answer, was released by CCCP Chapbooks and Sub Press in 2024. His work has recently appeared in the Belfast Review, Roi Fainéant, Modern Literature, and Yoke, among others. He edits the poetry zine Saginaw. He has a website at davidharrisonhorton.com, and he is here right now. So, David, thank you so much for joining us from across the way. I'm so glad you could be here, and I'm excited to hear what you're going to read.
Well, thank you for having me. So to begin with, I'm going to start from a couple of poems from the chapbook Model Answer that was put out by Sub Press and Jordan Davis. They're a great press. Hopefully you know about them already. So Model Answer are basically my attempts at model answers for like standardized testing, and you'll see how they work. So model answer, education. Most of China looks like the States I-80. It's hard to get enthusiastic about hours of travel through farmland. That's why I've developed a psychological transport method. My mind and my body can exist in separate places, no thanks to Marx. I see a window and my mind goes to a library. The library is full of memories and daydream fodder. It isn't organized very well. You ask the librarian for a dialogue from a 1940s war flick, and you get Gritty Kitty's song, Icing. A tailless squirrel indeed. Is your heart in right? The library supervisor is always on break, so there's no point in complaining. Model answer, environment. Sometimes, just sometimes, you find a cold beer in the fridge that you forgot about. Other times you misremember Clark Gable being in the Missouri Breaks with Brando. That's all wrong. You've conflated the Brando flick with the Misfits. What can you do? Cry in your beer? Well, you've got one unexpectedly and it's cold. Or you can decide to grow a mustache a la Gable. Every coin, in fact, does have two sides. That's both scientific and definitional. Look it up if you don't believe me. Model answer, news. The news and history are the same thing in different times. Last year's news is history now, and news now will be history in the future. I would draw a timeline or a Venn diagram, but this is an essay. For example, when X-rays were invented, the first practitioners got cancer. That was news to them, but is history to us. Unless you didn't know that, then it's news to you. Someone said poetry is news that stays news, but they clearly never read an Archibald MacLeish book in the Salvation Army book aisle. Okay, so for the next set, I'm going to be reading from my new book. Oh, there we go. Necessary, which is out from Downingfield, out of Melbourne, but they sell in the US and in the UK. They're available everywhere but China, surprisingly. So this is different than the first one. I won't explain it too much. You'll see how it goes, I'm sure. In the necessary light, ebb and faltering among shadows, shapes and false imagery, a soldier's helmet, rifle, a faked empathy, fakement, big ball entwined, let the dirty fuckers eat dirt. Cut cord and stanchion, measured by palms, pony. Acreage and miles, view of the settlement. Tractor cuts and hectares, orchard. Everything one could want, less, the need for less. How there is evidence, Mr. Lusk in Chicago, Macintosh. How third-person prose excludes the reader. How the train stop was quaint, unimpressive. Scarlet beetle on a bamboo stalk. Scarved women of the Hutom. How he did please. To count friends on fingers, scrimshawed bone, requirement. I'm afraid the call cannot be placed to place. Marco, Polo, Marco, Marco. To crow a city, skyline, reversal. The women of Shouting Hill, a Kong, a thorn, a time not to speak of, a time, a time. To reach a fatal shore, aped the plan entire. sucked the wolf's teats dry, map of the subway. How the shirt hangs on her shoulders, Montana. To do a bit of wandering, lingered the sky double stationary to pick olives off the tree. To masturbate a cosmos, top floor of a building, to decline a summer, weathered and lined, plated, to cut it down to the trunk, to exercise discretion, to go forward by steps, leaps, ankles, any other childhood. That were lame, that were sparrow, that predicated the whole demise, stance, that said something Mr. Lusk could not hear, that trod well-trod walkways, that asked its weight in flesh, that said it understood, that said, it said, it said. Now, in this next section, this is new shit. I'm connected to a writing group that's based out of Shanghai, but they're all over China called Inkwell. And this summer, part of us have been doing a challenge of 100 poems in 100 days. And I've been taking this opportunity to play with the ode forum. I think these are odes, but you can decide if they work that way for you. So these last ones are all new things from 100 poems in 100 days with this group. Ode to Sam Langford, in which things were noisome but not unpleasant. My neighbor has reached his Tolmouche delicious doll stage of his storytelling career. Everything sounds beautifully spun, but there's nothing behind it. I tell him he's being charming in a Tristan Zara kind of way. He laughs with abandon because he cares and doesn't at the same time. He's so charming and delicious, and just how he carries on and on and on and ode to the squared circle in which there was an obstacle. There are 3 uses for the knife, a few more if you have an active imagination. Like Bakunin asked, whose rules are these anyway? The train station attendant wouldn't let my butter knife pass inspection. When I asked how I was supposed to spread my guac on my bagel, he said with a spoon, not recognizing that I had filed it down to a shiv. Ode to the Dvorak, in which tea time had passed. I don't understand people with their devils that upjump. Mine never leave me. On a train track morning, some distance to go, everything looks cinematic. Bleak, then colorized, then bleak again. It's an arc. The B story is about a hope that ends either in disappointment or doesn't resolve. We're aiming for an Oscar. And my final is Ode to Error 404, in which they both made her husbands for to die. To say everything is about death isn't wrong, but it's heavy-handed. Come on, the Beijing-Shanghai train is under 3 hours now. Find some joy in this life. Like when that old lady's dog licked that snail and immediately regretted the decision. The lady didn't laugh, but her friend thought it was funny. Or how when you're dead, you're outside of time, and that, Mr. Heidegger, is a lot to contemplate. No wonder you wrote poetry. Thanks.
Oh, thank you so much, David, for making Heidegger, come to terms with the poetry language thought, but also the actual poetry part of it. That was David Harrison Horton, who you can find in a couple of different places. David's website is davidharrisonhorton.com, davidharrisonhorton.com. And David is on Blue Sky at unionherald.bsky.social and on WeChat at DHH996110. David is, in addition to all those books that you heard about earlier, Necessary from Downingfield in 2025, Maze Poems from Art Idolia, and Model Answer from CCCP Chapbooks. You can also keep an ear to the ground for David is currently working with a group of artists and writers on an art installation project featuring photos found at the Beijing Antique Market. So family photos, travel photos, etc. from the 60s and the 80s, 60s through the 80s, paired with wall text written by contemporary poets. So hopefully David will keep us abreast of the updates on that. And thanks for the grand tour of chapbook stuff, new shit, all the good jazz, and hoping your 100 poems in 100 days ends smoothly. That is amazing and also kind of terrifying to me. So I hope it's going beautifully for you. Wow, what a beautiful place to enter the sort of keystone part of our reading order. So we leave the front half, we enter the back half, and I'm very happy to be doing that by welcoming Elle Scully to Nightlight. And Elle Scully is a living writer. Their next book, Self-Romancing, will be delivered Earthside by Dopamine Books on September 9th, which is very, very soon. Elle, thank you so much for being with us, and I'm excited to hear what you're going to read.
Thank you so much, Tom. If at any point you can't hear me, just scream. I'm in an attic. It's very Emily Dickinson, you know. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'll be reading from this. It's called Self-Romancing, comes out in like 2.5 weeks. Very excited, and it's been really great hearing David and CD read, and I'm excited to hear Jack read as well. So thank you. Tom does a ton for the entire literary community, so shout out to that. Okay, a little tiny preface for this collection is that, I mean, you don't really need to know this, but essentially this is kind of like a silly take on like deranged daily affirmations. This book came about because there was a time in between hospital stays where I was posting these like really kind of like insane affirmations on my Instagram story every day for about like 6 months. And then I one day, was like, I'm cured. I wasn't cured, but I decided to put them all into a book, and now they're coming out as a book. So that's why the format is like affirmation, 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 but you'll see. Evenings can't be lonely because they're just evenings. The mini roses from Trader Joe's are a little bit much for me. Not everyone has a middle name. I have a middle name, and it is Rose. I'm not sure if I told you, but now you know. I'm not lost within my own roster of pseudonyms. I am what my grandmother wished for. You are going to acknowledge my vulnerable email. You are going to watch this Instagram story and miss me. A queer future is the only future I want. I am not madly in love with someone disinterested. I am humbled by my addictions. Professionalism can't hurt me. The aching never stops, but here I am. I am not going to like my therapist on Hinge. I'm a good girl without the girl part. Pink is not a bad color for me. I will not check if you've seen my message. I will not beg for love. I'm not above anything, but my face could be above yours. I don't always need a hand to hold. At the same time, if you wanted to hold my hand, just ask. I almost did not know love or literature if it wasn't for you. I almost did not know. I want to lick the bones of your hips as they cup my face. I want to come at the same time, across time and its space. I think of you when I turn on the shower. I think of you when I turn off the shower. I think of you when I slide my palms up my thighs in bed at night. I do not think of you while I'm being taken, but yes, I do. I think of you as the profiterole of gender, as my future boy wife, as the Salem tide as it ebbs and flows against my cold-toed death wish. I write you something every day. Even when I do not write to you, I am writing to you. It is every day now. I would learn to cook you something, though all I can offer is bread. Let me take your body like the bread I received on my lips for so many young years. I like it when you take off your shirt. I aspire for you to take off mine in tandem. You almost make me want to ride a bicycle. I'd hold your hand across our bicycles if I remembered how to ride. I know how to ride you perfectly. I learned long ago in an arboretum before we met. When I used to fuck my pillows, the ghost of you was in my head. I drew you on the floor. Your name ejaculates the rush of love into my sorry heart. You make my heart unsorry. Let me introduce you to my family through a letter or a mirror or the flesh. I thought of you the night of my graduation. I always think of you at night. I fear I always will. The anarchy of your devotion and the emailed love letters make me want to rethink underwear. I will work hard so I can take you to dinner in London. I will work hard for you in the way that isn't work at all. This is a love note that you asked for, but I would have written anyway. I am reading your hands in gratitude. Our hands will touch, our shaky hands. I'm entitled to artificial flavoring. Intimacy is making its way to me. I am not being ghosted. Actually, yes, I am, and that's okay. I'm being ghosted, and that's okay. My dog did not eat a used condom and then shit it out completely. Not everyone on earth has my nudes. I am crafting a community guidelines post that men will adhere to. I am not blocked by people I love. The love I fell in yesterday will carry me through a lonely evening. I'm going to engage in heavy kissing this evening. I'm not toxic for listening to the entire discography of Green Day. People would have held my hand at Friday night skate in middle school had I asked. I have not been fixated on the skin beneath breasts since childhood. I know how to drive even though I choose not to. I can drive if you've been drinking. 2 hospitals ago got bad Google ratings, but I made the best of it. I like girls with green hair. You will delight in me at tonight's open mic. I will be showered with opportunity that translates to a CV. I am not branded by your escape. I am branded by my own. I am not nauseated by rejection of any sort. I am capable of talking to children one-on-one. If my hair was long enough, you'd braid it. Never mind that it will never be long again. You are ignoring me for good reason. I ignored you first. I will never live with a romantic partner. Okay, maybe I will if someone wanted to live with me. We will have separate bedrooms. I will not fuck your roommate. I will not. I am blessed by the luck of ladybugs. Did you know that I call them ladybirds? I don't call them that for attention. I just say something's funny because of the British thing. The tattoo on my chest is for my grandmother. The tattoo on my chest is not a target for when you finish on me. The tattoo on my chest is close to my heart. I'm lucky beyond measure. I'm not just saying that because of the orgasm I had last night, but it did help. I am the embodiment of your desire. I am even the embodiment of mine. I have daylight coming to me. I wear platforms so I can kiss you better. I am struck with the morning of your body and feel it in my own. Whole Foods pizza tastes like Naples. You could never keep up with me. My want was not too big. I'm not fucking 1,000 people to see if one of them fucks like you. I am not in mourning. Anniversaries are just days. I'm no longer interested in aquariums. People will attend my workshop. You have not forgotten me. We will create beautiful things together aside from babies. I am the very babe of my own workshop. I did not attend the meeting with hickeys because I don't wear hickeys like a giddy teenager. I don't want your marks all over me like a brand. I want your marks all over me like a brand. My inbox will be respectful today. I will be paid for my troubles. I am more of a boy than you think. Your ex could never. I don't open my window for you in every dream. I don't need to be a sexy cyclist. Some music just hurts. My gender is not isolating. I have 1,000 loves. I fuck you like you're one of them. Maybe you are. There's no we in tiramisu, but there is almost an us. Thank you.
I'm over here putting myself back together. That was L. Scully. I have not been this misty at a nightlight in a while. That was beautiful. And thank you, Elle, for that incredible reading. That was L. Scully, who you can find on Instagram at _Capricorny___, CAPRIHORNY_. Elle is also the co-founder of Stone of Madness Press, and Elle directs the New England-based reading series Working Title, which you can find out more about at lscully.com, LSCULLY.com, and check the fuck out of Self-Romancing because I'm buying that book the second this reading is over and I have access to my PayPal information again because that really fucked me right up. And here we go. So it is always a little bit bittersweet to arrive at this stage of a nightlight reading because we are at our last reader, which is like kind of sad because poetry should just be infinite and grain of sand and William Blake us into forever. But I could not trust more in our next reader to bring us into the infinite. I'm so excited to welcome Jack Bachman to this nightlight shindig. Jack, I'm so glad you're here. And Jack Bachman lives and writes in Minneapolis, Minnesota. His work has appeared in Ethics, Omega, Tagwerk, and is forthcoming in Tilt, including 2 chapbooks, Dayglow, and Soft Static Crushes. And Jack is one of the fearless souls that occasionally brings math into poetry. So for that, I'm incredibly grateful. Thank you, Jack. And just, yeah, thank you for bringing it home tonight. I'm so looking forward to hearing you read.
Thanks, Tom. Sorry if I'm a little quiet, but I'm really nervous. Yeah, thanks CD and David and Al for the reading. That was really incredible. I thought to shake my nerves, I would read 2 poems that are short by other people. Because I've kind of been like, I don't know, in a mood in my head about poetry given and with the state of the world. And so these are 2 sort of disparate poems, but they communicate, I think, together how I've been feeling. This is Patrizia Cavalli. Someone told me, of course my poems won't change the world. I say, yes, of course, my poems won't change the world. And this other one is by Batul Abdul Aqlim. It's 46 kilogram weather forecast. The sky darkens with wings, raining down death. Don't stay home. Don't go to the street. Don't carry your umbrella. Shelter in place. Lick the death running down your faces. So yeah, she's a poet from Gaza City. So Free Palestine. I'll try and be as brief as possible, or not brief, but I'll try not to bore with these other ones. Tom, these are all mostly new, just for you, so here we go. At Incident, we were beautiful, marveling at a rare gathering of fireflies, lighting the dusk in a soft, useless yellow. We couldn't tell how dappled worked. If it was only compatible with light, What about a dappled spray? The cruel hot summer of America demising, dappled mutilation, the state breaking. Everything grows in the water. Even atoms are magnified, held visible in real time, preventing decay and dispersion, which continues slowly. The wave remains an assembly of disparate, unending motions. Everything is breaking. The lost, strong force warping vision, and colors blur. So it's called liquid spinback, which is like a spinback is like a DJing term for when you play something really good and then you like scratch the record, but it's only like a purely digital sound, which I think is like crazy. Anyways, into a pool of synthetic noise, a songbird hops, a small distance, a slippage with no familiarity to a face, a burnished obsidian box, teal blue patina. Everything is brought so close, it folds, a thick spiral, a poorly poked rattlesnake tattoo. Between the object and the presence, impossibility is a long way from belief. A purebred chihuahua, pink pickled radishes, small piles of snow, thin line of extrusion. Time everything was, stacked to resemble, an appropriate precarity, a certain list of terms. After a few months, they found your body in the river. Turn, rhythm, break. A ghost turning, together to gather, askew in the night. The tall pines grow. It almost does the curve of this ampersand. Behind me, someone, soft static crushes. These relative gravities is utility to disorder. Until they are, what do they do? A perch, your fluttering for to exit. A mode is a way, dramatic as an overage, an increase in palatable tension. Know where the body is to feel against its edge. Over new courses of water. This then was that which rends, a common blooming field. Drink it up endlessly. New. Constellations of wanton. The cards said, hermit, tower, fool. In a world where you're lost, smoke lingers, eating disorder winter, perfect rye bread, down an end, move the light in further. Everyone gets in these things, certain bird calls, and a bustle too. This next one is named after a billboard in Ohio, where I'm from, that I'm particularly nostalgic for. Hell is real. A line across it all, connecting the requisite lack of foundation. Clarice was talking about the mysterious impersonal. That was a big deal. It, a little object of this shadow drawing across. In the cold spring rains, the bell rings and hens, these waves caused by prior waves. Which lights destroy what, and what of the night? Who will ever know of such disappearances, the dissimulation of the woven texture? The copses blur too fast in the dusk, along the wall the fence turns to at night. She kept saying, I'm trying to find a way in, a line across it all, the pickets, the posts, the least obvious gate closure. Now the dormant jasmine is creeping again. In the cold spring rains, Cole sees the two uses of forever as having opposite senses of enclosure. Cut these things and put them in water. Find a way in. Sitting in the vase and blooming, zinnia envy, the time of much ripening, buck moon swooning, cast shadows back into the ground. And what of the night? And how long will you be? Maybe a few more, is that okay? Okay. What is going on here? I started seeing angel numbers because I started seeing angel numbers. In the shower, I'm spiraling on Christian ethno-nationalism, clearing my throat in the humid air, glottal phlegm come mucosal elision, spiraling from the news to the water as an ablution in the rest of the ritual. Scrape your tongue, brush your teeth. Now I'm wet and hot in the summer air, remembering body fascist advice to take nudes in the morning before you've eaten. I showered after lunch. A lover requested once, only wear clothes you'd like to be seen taking off. It was me. So I do. And then, yeah, this is the last one. It's called LOML ILYSM. I feel so Charlie XCX about you. So Baja Blast aphrodisiac. So Yuzu Seltzer. So Kiss Me. So pagan poetry. So limits of intimacy. So close to you as possible without losing myself. I feel so Vegas nerve. So humming. So held. So far when we're not touching. So Notting Hill. So just a girl. I feel so believing in fate. So music. So hearts and hands. So pure color. So willing to live. I feel so Gold Rush apple, so imperfection as a method of craft, so wrap your loving arms around me, so have you in my wilderness, so Gila Hot Springs. I feel so Pharmacon, so Finnish method, so personist, so Mayakovsky, so imminent, so dinner together, salt-baked cod and baby potatoes with Peruvian green sauce and chili oil, pink chicory dressed with green sauce, red wine vinegar, honey, and plum sesame. Beautiful Vulnerability 2021, lemon tart with meringue and salted graham cracker crust, absinthe digestif. So see you in my dreams. I feel so many coincidences, so much space between our lips. So our breaths live here together. So natural light, so time dilation, so long of a wait, so shortly, so radical hospitality, so beyond the words I have. I feel so good night, so summer solstice, so much. Thank you.
There is nothing like a NAFRA to end a nightlight event, and that was Jack Bachmann bringing it home so beautifully. Thank you, Jack, for being here. And Jack, you can find on the socials at Quasi Reader, QUASIREADER. Jack, in addition to those chapbooks, Dayglow and Soft Static Crushes, Jack also helps with the Kettle Pond Writers Conference, and Jack wrote a blurb for Kevin Bertolero's new book, which I think is called In Passing, and it is really beautiful. Jack sends all kinds of lauds towards it, and thank you so much for being here, for bringing it home. I also like love beyond love when there's a little like bookend moment, because obviously I hope you all don't have like a group chat without me, because CD had a Pharmacon poem and Jack had a Pharmacon poem, and I'm like, all right, there we go. We're there. We made it. We did it. It's beautiful. That was an absolutely gorgeous reading from CD, from David, from Elle, and Jack. Thank you all so much for being here, our wonderful readers for sharing their beautiful work with us tonight. And thank you to our listeners, whether you're here in the Zoom call with us or maybe you're listening to this in the future on YouTube. We really appreciate it. It means so much that you're giving an hour of your time over to poetry. I hope that you might join us again for a future event. I am so excited that in September, our next reading is going to be on September 18th, and it is going to be a really exciting one for me. The lineup is Paige Taggart, Samson Starkweather, Ben Mirov, and Lauren Hunter, poets who I've loved for a long, long time, and I'm so glad that they're going to be joining us. And yeah, we always do a thing at the end of Nightlight where we end with a poem, and I'm going to go on my phone because that's the only place I have this poem handy. I'm going to read a poem that I was reminded of the existence of recently. I shared it with some friends, and I was like, oh yeah, this poem is exactly as good as I remember it. It's a poem by Jim Corey, who I think passed away a year or so ago. So this is called Bodybuilder by Jim Corey. His protein milkshakes, his fistfuls of vitamins, his razored scalp and blonde mustache, his high school kid clothes, the times he danced shirtless in clubs and went home to sleep alone, the times he entrained for New York and never heard the opera, the times he bench pressed twice his own weight, his eyes that asked why, then repeated the question, his personal ad, quote, sober BB who also writes poetry seeks similar, ... end quote. His second floor brownstone studio posters and shelved sets of Tolstoy, his refusal to own a TV, the time he caked his face with oatmeal to erase the lines, the time his only credit card was seized buying roller skates at the Army Navy, The time he tumbled from bed, laughing at someone's penis, and said, "Years later, I know now we pay for everything we do." The mouthful of teeth he left in a crushed Volkswagen, the winged things that flew through him. His sunshade Walkman silence disguise and phone unanswered, his fat tin toad of a typewriter anchoring drafts and unpaid bills, his one published poem, his 100 flaming bridges, his memory of perfect love, of night-whispered teenage underwear stirrings, his bathroom mirror, the dime-sized purplish islands on his back, his 2 years, doctors, hospitals, drugs, tests, and transfusions, the time he lost his race with incontinence on Broad Street, the poem he wrote about it, the TV he agreed to take the male nurse snattering in the bathroom, the mouse-sized roach under the fridge filled with everything he couldn't eat slash drink slash lift, his scalded limp paw and infant hair, his telescope spectacles, his voice full of sand and abandoned nests, his final sigh, the full moon silence of its echo, the row of parked cars on the hill, the brass box resting on AstroTurf, his jacketed photo in prom tux toppled in sudden breeze.